Herod the Great, builder of the ancient world's most magnificent temples, yet a king so feared that his own family trembled in his presence. How did he gain and hold power of Judea under the watchful eye of Rome? And how did his paranoia lead him to make choices that still haunt his legacy today? To fully grasp Herod's rise to power, we need to situate it within the broader historical context of the time. In the decades before Herod's birth, the Hasmonean dynasty had ruled Judea, a Jewish royal family that had gained independence from the Seleucid Empire. This period of relative autonomy was coming to an end as the Roman Republic's influence grew in the region. Around 63 BC, the Roman general Pompey the Great intervened in the Hasmonean civil war, conquering Jerusalem and making Judea a client state of Rome. This marked the beginning of a tumultuous era as the Hasmonean rulers struggled to maintain their power and autonomy under the shadow of Roman hegemony. It was into this unstable political landscape that Herod, the son of the Idumean Antipater, was born in 73 BC. Herod's rise illuminates the complex web of alliances, rivalries, and power struggles that he had to navigate to claim the throne of Judea. The Hasmonean dynasty, rooted in the Maccabean revolt against the Seleucids, was deeply intertwined with the Jewish nationalism and religious identity of the day. Herod's Idumean heritage and alliance to Rome would have made him a controversial and even suspect figure in the eyes of many of the Judean elites. Herod's roots were Idumean, a people south of Judea conquered by the Hasmoneans and forcibly converted to Judaism. As an Idumean, Herod was always seen as an outsider. Judean elites regarded him with suspicion, seeing him as a foreigner, an interloper without a true claim to their ancient traditions. Yet, Herod's father, Antipater, was a politically astute man. He seized upon Rome's growing power, aligning with Julius Caesar during the Roman civil wars and aiding him in Egypt. This political loyalty earned Antipater a high position under Hyrcanus II, the struggling ruler of Judea, effectively placing the family in control behind the scenes. With his father's guidance and Rome's approval, Herod became governor of Galilee at only 25. Immediately, he showed Rome he would rule with strength. One of his first acts was the execution of Hezekiah, a rebel leader terrorizing the region. Herod ordered the killing without a trial, a breach of Judean custom, but a clear signal to Rome that he would not tolerate disorder. This ruthless efficiency won him praise from the Romans and fear from his enemies. Historian Josephus recorded the reactions of Judea's ruling council, who saw Herod's methods as a harbinger of tyranny. Yet Rome was pleased, securing Herod's rise. In 40 BC, Herod's political fortunes shifted again. The Parthians invaded Judea, seeking to expand their influence. Antigonus, the last Hasmonean king, seized the chaos to reclaim the throne, forcing Herod to flee. But Herod wouldn't stay in exile. He traveled to Rome, where he made a daring appeal to the Senate. His charm, Roman alliances, and strategic bribe won him the title King of Judea. With Roman legions at his side, Herod returned to retake Jerusalem in 37 BC, and after months of siege, his forces stormed the city and Antigonus was executed, a final act that solidified Herod's rule over Judea. Once on his throne, Herod's ambitions took shape in stone. His most famous achievement was the expansion of the Second Temple in Jerusalem, a project so grand that it redefined the city's skylines. The Temple Mount was doubled in size, with foundational stones weighing up to 80 tons, precisely set without mortar. Herod spared no expense. Gold-plated gates, towering colonnades, and marble courtyards all adorned the structure, creating a spectacle visible for miles. The Jewish historian Flavius Josephus wrote, "The temple appeared like a mountain covered with snow. For those parts of it that were not gilded were exceedingly white." For the Jewish people, the temple represented a holy connection to God's presence on earth. For Herod, it was also a monument to secure his legacy, an architectural masterpiece that proclaimed his power. But Herod's vision extended beyond Jerusalem. On the Mediterranean coast, he founded Caesarea Maritima, a Roman city named in honor of Caesar Augustus. The construction of Caesarea's harbor was a feat of engineering that rivaled Rome itself. Using hydraulic concrete that hardened underwater, Herod's builders constructed massive breakwaters to create a safe harbor capable of docking large vessels. Archaeologists have unearthed remnants of aqueducts, a palace, and a theater, all testament to Herod's ambition. Caesarea connected Judea with the broader world, a hub of trade and a culture that made his kingdom indispensable to Rome. Behind the grandeur, however, was a ruler consumed by fear. As a king with foreign ancestry, Herod felt insecure on the throne, and his position as a client of Rome constantly reminded him that his power rested on a delicate balance. This bred intense paranoia that spilled over into his personal life. Herod saw enemies everywhere, even among his own family. Perhaps the most tragic example was his relationship with his wife, Mariamne. Of Hasmonean descent, Mariamne symbolized the union between Herod and the Judean royal line, and by all accounts, he was deeply in love with her. But as Herod's paranoia grew, so did his suspicion. Believing rumors that she conspired against him, Herod ordered her execution. According to Josephus, Herod was so haunted by grief after her death that he would wander his palace calling out her name, torn between love and paranoia. Herod's sons, Alexander and Astrobulus, shared a similar fate. They were bright and ambitious, promising heirs to the throne. But as they grew, Herod came to see them as potential usurpers, plotting against him. In a moment of tragic irony, the father who had built monuments to secure his legacy sacrificed his own bloodline to paranoia. Even the Roman Emperor Augustus is said to have remarked, "I would rather be Herod's pig than his son." A chilling statement that reflected the horror that even Rome felt at Herod's brutality. The New Testament, specifically in the Gospel of Matthew, recounts that Herod ordered the massacre of all male infants in Bethlehem, driven by his fear of ancient prophecies foretelling the rise of a new king of the Jews. Jewish writings had prophesied the coming of a messianic ruler, with specific passages that likely fed Herod's anxieties. For example, in the Hebrew scriptures, the prophet Micah declares that a ruler of Israel would emerge from Bethlehem, stating, "But you, Bethlehem Ephrathah, though you are small among the clans of Judah, out of you will come for me one who will be ruler over Israel, whose origins are from of old, from ancient times." Additionally, the Davidic covenant in 2 Samuel chapter 7, God promises that King David's descendants would produce a ruler whose throne would last forever, created an expectation that a new king from David's lineage would arise, which Herod viewed as a direct threat to his rule. Toward the end of his life, Herod's paranoia reached a fever pitch. Knowing his death was near, he ordered the arrest of prominent Jewish leaders, decreeing they be executed upon his death so that Judea would mourn rather than celebrate when he passed. This order was mercifully ignored, but it stands as a final testament to the madness of a ruler whose ambitions had completely consumed him. When Herod died, his kingdom was divided, but his architectural legacy endured. The western wall of the Second Temple still stands, a sacred site for Jews worldwide. Caesarea Maritima became a vital port, bridging Judea with the Roman world and leaving a lasting cultural footprint on the region. Herod's story raises timeless questions. How does one balance ambition with humanity? At what point does the quest for legacy cross into tyranny? Herod's paranoia and cruelty remind us of the dangers of unchecked power and the tragic fate of a ruler who, despite his achievements, could not overcome his own fears. What are your thoughts on Herod's legacy? Does his ambition justify his methods, or does his story serve as a cautionary tale about the price of power? Share your insights in the comments. If you found this dive into Herod's complex life story intriguing, remember to like, subscribe, and click that notification bell for more explorations of history's most fascinating figures. At War and Wisdom in History, we aim to uncover the layers of history to reveal timeless lessons. Stay curious, seek wisdom, and we'll see you in the next chapter of history.